is Umberto Diecinove. I'm participating to this exhibition because I was nominated by Foto España, and then I won this open call that is called Energy. I'm here with my project that I started last year that is called Insect, and it's a multimedia project. That means that there are the photography that you are watching in my back, and at the same time I'm recording interviews with expert anthropologists, nutritionists that I'm meeting to investigate this topic. I decided to go deep in this project because there is a part that could be really reshape the food and feed system and make it more resilient, and so fix some problems like the waste of resources and at the same time the food insecurity. This is why with Insect you can provide food for animals like chickens or freshwater fish that already eat it, and so you can give a new opportunity to smallholder farmers all over the world, but especially in the global south, to become independent from industrialized feed. The images of chickens eating worms seems very natural, but it's revolutionary because no chickens in the world are eating worms, they're eating industrial feed. So I decided to step in. My goal is to communicate it more, to make people more aware of this situation and of the change that we can have in the future, so to not permit to monopolistic entities like what happens with seeds to put them in the way.
My name is Tanja Engelberts. I'm an artist from the Netherlands. And the past 6 years I worked on a project called Forgotten Seas, and it's about the offshore industry in the North Sea. So about platforms that produce gas and oil. And here in the Capa Center I showed a book which is also called Forgotten Seas, and it shows archival images from the 50s till a photograph of my own experiences documenting oil platforms at sea. And it ends with decommissioning, which means that they are taking the platforms apart. And in the back of me there's a photograph from this book called 500 meters afar, and it's a photograph of a platform at night, and it's almost like a beacon at sea. And there is a slideshow projection with 80 slides with text that refers to life on an oil rig. I always start in kind of a journalistic way. I read a lot of books and I try to infiltrate in different worlds. So for the offshore world I try to meet as many people as possible. And a lot of the stories that people told I write down, or these little anecdotes, and they become kind of more poems that I write. And I always go to places with my camera. It's really my companion, and I document all these places. And sometimes these photographs end up as a book, but sometimes they also end up in bigger works, and I use a lot of materials in my work also with photographs. So the image is quite often altered with different materials, and for me the writing is really part of my practice. The writing and the photography kind of becomes one thing in the book and also here in the exhibition.
I'm Hien Hoang, and today I'm going to show you my work, Sands from Heaven. This is a multimedia and interdisciplinary project which I work on the agar wood. It is a very rare material wood, come from the inside of a tree. Most of them grows in Vietnam or in Southeast Asia. And this project is all about the pain of the nature of the trees and how we as humans, how we project our dreams for salvation, how we project the value on that wood. And for this project, I had the chance to do a lot of research on site and visit many scientists' labor and also plantation in Vietnam where they produce agar wood, and where I can talk to them about how the agar wood can be made. And actually this wood comes from the pain, from the suffer of the tree, and the tree has to endure the pain for like years, even 100 years to get the agar wood. And so we humans, like, we inflict pain on this, and we're trying to get the most out of it, which then this wood gonna be used a lot in perfume and in also many rituals, and it is a symbol for royalty, for paradise, for heaven. So this contrast between the pain of the tree and the scent, the very rich and heavenly scent of the wood, but also like the high value of the wood, it triggered me, and it makes me question about how we human, how we interact with nature, and how we project our vanity onto that. It's also a question about how this wood, as a very rare and valuable object, being part of the political play between the East and the West, it is also a colonization object, and so it brings me to a long journey, and here I have the chance to create an installation which I can show a part of the project. And this is a garden which I present the wood objects, and also a VR installation. The VR installation taking place as observed garden with many strange and even painful scene of how the tree got produced. And I also show there the performance and the research documentary footage I got from my visit and from my study. And all of it combined with music, with very strong images. With this, I want to encourage the audience to step inside and to like explore and listen to the story and the pain of the tree, but also like to raise the question, like to ask ourselves like how the suffer, the pain, and how we project the value on that. Also, this installation is also offer for me, and I hope also for the audience, like a way to see an object which seem to be strange to us, but somehow it can connect. I think it can connect to me for personal level very well about the things we experience and the dreams and the hopes we try to get through all the experience, even if it's painful or also.
I'm Yana Kononova. I'm an artist residing in Kyiv, Ukraine. My artistic practice is centered on the spatiality imagery of technological spaces, technological environments, and addressing the concepts of the inhuman and the sublime. Since the year 2022, my practice is focusing on documenting the aftermath and portraying of trauma caused by aggressive war waged by Russia against Ukraine. This project, which is featured on this exhibition, it consists of works of different series through which I was was searching for this special imagery of through which I could represent trauma. The first series is named Escape, and I started working on it in 2022. And during my early trips around Ukraine, on the onset of the war, I encountered haunted remnants of fuel tanks, mangled and twisted by air bombardment. And this site was struck me with the incomprehensible extent of damage which warfare caused, technical warfare caused, and how these physical remnants could be a witness of psychological distress that follows. And this encounter drove my focus on representing trauma through materiality of war. And my work took me at the industrial and warehouse locations, where I captured images seemingly devoid of direct signs of war or historical context, but this abstraction of document heightened the tension between allegedly formal approach and emotional devastation that accompanies the sight of robbed and scared metal. And the second wall, which is featured here, is the work Desperation of Landscape. I started working on it this summer, and it began as documenting the consequences of environmental disaster in southern Ukraine, which caused by destruction of Kakhovka Dam. It was manifested in many ecological consequences because a lot of territories was flooded and another territory was exposed under the water. Several works which are featured here, they took in Zaporizhia city, where people just rush to work on these exposed lands with their families, with children, and I was really struck by this contrast between pastoral scenes of life, peaceful life, and background of this environmental disaster which was involved in. This work, they represent this tension, this contrast, and video work, it's recording of people who were working very close to hydroelectric power station with their families after land were exposed onto the water. And my focus was on this spatial imagery which could convey this psychological tension, and I contextualized this imagery within the Ukraine's industrial and geological context.
My name is Marta. I'm Cape Verdean and Portuguese, living in Portugal. And as an Afro-descendant woman, I work on Afro-descendant women as an exercise of portraying and understanding how Afro-descendant people are represented historically in pre-colonial, actually colonial archives and post-colonial archives too. And my practice is focused on how Black people are represented in general. In this case, it is focused on a woman. I am first an architect, and then a photographer, and now I'm doing a PhD focusing on representation of African people through time in colonial archives, and in African studies, photography studies, and how that could inform my own practice. So by doing exercises with the person who is portrayed, by passing them the shooter, or by denouncing myself as the one who is operating the camera. I do these small exercises trying to disrupt the structure of power introduced by the camera, the photographic camera, which creates a hierarchy between who is seeing and who is being seen. And so I try to deconstruct that. I depict my own pictures, but I've tried to bring references to the pictures too. Things like using poses from photography of African studios, or by bringing in this case a painting by James Tissot, and a painting of a bourgeois woman, and repeating that pose with Clorène, she's the subject of this project, trying to do this paradoxical dialogue. Besides repeating the pose in this painting, Clorène is depicted in a place that was owned by a fascist person in Braga, northern Portugal. And so I try to construct and introduce these layers by the painting, the poses of that repeats the bourgeois woman that in 1889, back then Clorène wouldn't be depicted like this, or in paintings of that time we always see black people depicted as servants. And also the place where she is depicted is informs and adds layers to this sense of belonging. I also depict the places where Clorène and her family and many of people of these communities live in the peripheries of Braga. Buildings that I depict buildings that are expecting a new building that will never come, or plots that were forgotten in the urban planning, hence, well, my architectural gaze, which I cannot run from. And so by doing this binomial and multi-layered pictures, I try to construct a project that tries to bring up these ideas of representation of African people dislocated living in Portugal.